Hi, everybody, and welcome to another client testimonial. And today I'm joined by the incredible, courageous, brave Tarryn. Tarryn, thank you so much for your generosity of heart always, and for very, very generously saying that you would share your journey today. So we have been working together with TRTP, and we've actually just worked out we've only had 5 hours contact time. The time we've been together is 18 days. And your transformation has been extraordinary. I mean, when I looked at the paperwork and, we only saw each other 18 days ago, and I thought, wow, because I've been a witness to everything that has shifted in your world. And I just wondered if you would be able to articulate to anybody watching who's contemplating this cutting edge work, what sort of impact it's had on your experience.
Well, Cathy, where do I start? This has been the most incredible journey, the most incredible. I can't believe it's only been 18 days in the sense of how much growth and how much shift I've experienced. I have spent years and years and years trying to shift a number of things that we have worked through, in fact, from a young teenage girl through to now, and haven't had the results at a fraction compared to the 18 days. And I know who I was 18 days ago. Who I am today is a completely rebirthed woman. Completely.
Yeah. I mean, even my experience of you, now you're just steady and calm and clear and confident, and it's such a shift. I mean, it's a transformation on every level, and you've explained to me as well, like, because you're showing up differently, your world is shifting to accommodate this new you as well.
My entire world has shifted. My children, my relationship with my parents, my relationship with my best friend, every single person that I have known for years and years is completely, they haven't changed. I have. The way that they're receiving me and the way that they're responding to me is completely different, and in the most beautiful, aligned way. In fact, to be like, I've had no conflicts. I've had nothing like that. Everything's just going beautifully smooth. Oh, well, none of my important relationships or anything like that has been uncomfortable. It's just been harmonious. And yeah, like, even speaking to what you mentioned before about how I am in myself, my mind is clear, my thought process, how I articulate, my language, like, I could speak to this for a very long time when I think about the journey that we've shared. So much has shifted. I said to you just before, I feel as if I don't have the right words to describe this experience that has been out of this world. Absolutely out of this world.
You shared with me as well that you've been able to take yourself off medications. You've cancelled some traditional therapies that you had booked because you just felt like you didn't need them anymore. Like you just felt like it had all been resolved.
Yes, definitely. And add to that, so it wasn't like, I didn't come into this thinking, oh, well, maybe I could stop this, maybe I could do that. I just came in raw, vulnerable, and absolutely committed to whatever this looked like. No idea what it looked like. We talked about that. I knew that this was meant for me. I trusted in that and showed up. Like I said, fully showed up. And I could hear my voice, who I am, getting louder and louder. The quiet whisper got louder as we carried on. And stopping the medication that I was on which I'm happy, for me, it was to do with ADHD. And it wasn't I'm going to give this a go and see what happens kind of thing. It felt natural because the busyness of my mind stilled. It just stilled within the first week of working with you. And I listened to it. And so it continued. And it has been like that the entire time. My therapy that I had booked was a natural given again. Like I felt as if the door had just closed because it was done. Everything that I had dealt with in the past had naturally and beautifully through this process resolved. It was finished. It was finished. There was no need any longer for that. What are we looking at? From the age of 14, 39, in and out of traditional therapy, it was finished and it felt beautiful. Like I closed the book on the journey of my life.
And what I love as well about what you've shared with me is the calmness of you, and the fact that actually, since we met and from section 2, you have had some really challenging things thrown at you, and you've just cruised through them really calm, really centered, no triggering, just really powerful. And I love as well that you can relax now, because before you found it really hard to wind down, really hard to rest, really hard to relax. And now you said to me earlier on the call, I feel like I might be a sloth now because you're so relaxed. You're so at peace with yourself. I love that the most, because I really feel like that was impacting your life in so many ways when you had that sort of fight, flight, freeze all the time and that high energy.
So there are a couple of things there. Cathy's 100% right. So for me, I simply could not rest, but that restlessness came from a continual place of I had to keep myself busy in order to feel like it kept my mind busy. It was like if I sat still, I would think about things that were really alarming and stressful to me. So I could, I'm sitting here right now, and there's a scarf and an UGG boot and one of my kids' t-shirts on the ground. That was not ever going to happen. I could not sit here and do this with that there. End of story. There's a clothes horse over there. This is how it is now, and it feels so good because I can rest. And I said to you, I can sleep now because I'm tired, and like normal tired, not my brain's exploding tired. No nightmares, Cathy. None. No nightmares. My kids would say they could hear me shout in my sleep at times, and I would wake myself. None. Other thing is, like you mentioned, I've had some pretty big things that would have quite potentially, well, no, let's be real, would have derailed me. I would have been stuck in bed with a sore gut, cool as a cucumber, as I said. And then, like you mentioned, we did this thing, and I said, "Oh, well, you are officially a sloth." Well, I'm okay with it. Yeah, but I'm able to be present now with my children. And one of my kids earlier said to me, as I shared with you, "Mum, I feel really safe around you regarding talking to you." She doesn't feel as if I'm going to cut her off or interpret what she's trying to say. And we're just sitting, and she feels held and seen. I thought I was seeing and hearing them. I was only seeing, and this is like, I'm so okay with vulnerability and truth here. I thought I was seeing them. I thought I was hearing them. I was too busy and too caught up in my own trauma and my own grief to actually see them and hear them. And something else I meant to mention to you is I really noticed to be honest with you, Cathy, it was so profound. I assumed that what this feeling was is what I considered to be anxiety, because suddenly over this week gone after our bigger session, looking at my children was like seeing them for the first time. It was as if I'd taken off like some grubby glasses, and they actually looked different to me, like I was actually seeing them. And that kind of made me feel like there was a moment where I was like, oh, is this anxiety? Because I thought, what have I missed? That was gone so quickly because I just dropped in and was like, I'm here now. I'm here now. It was that instant, like it was that forgiveness. It's okay. Grace to myself, forgiveness to myself. I'm here now. And it's been beautiful since. Like the kids, it's just great. The kids are, it's beautiful.
What I love as well is the first conversation, because as you know, we've had this conversation. I don't work with everybody. And, you know, I said to you right at the beginning, you have to show up for yourself. You have to be committed. You have to really show up in these sessions if you want to get the extraordinary results. And, you know, as I've explained to you, I don't work with everybody because I fully give myself to the whole experience, and I expect my clients to show up for themselves and fully give themselves. And you did. Like, there was nothing you would not have done to be present and gift yourself this healing. And what you've done is you've actually disrupted and dissolved generational trauma. So it stops with you and it doesn't go down to your kids and their kids and the generations in front of you. And that was extraordinary. And I mean, we've had epic sessions, and, you know, you came in fully ready, fully prepared, a little bit anxious, but then we connected very strongly and you felt safe and you fully showed up. Like, it was epic, absolutely epic. And, you know, what I find with folks who are thinking about doing this kind of work is this fear, this huge, huge fear. And yet the people that I've worked with have said, oh gosh, right from the first session, gosh, I felt so loved. I felt so held. I felt so seen. I felt so powerful. And I think this is the piece that I want to gift to other people who are thinking about working with a TRT practitioner, is that it's not like traditional therapy. We're not here to re-traumatize you. We are here to actively give you your power back and your control back, and everything that was always meant to be yours, we fully give it back to you, and everything that was never meant to be yours is dissolved. So if anybody was thinking about stepping forward but having those feelings of anxiousness and fear, what would you speak to that?
Oh, I on a whole lot, to be honest. I'm trying to narrow it down. From the first session, I'm going to compare. I make no apologies. I'm going to compare. From the first session with Cathy, you are empowered. You stand taller. You feel loved. You feel held. And you are so excited about the next step in your journey. For me personally, and I'll say that much, with my no apologies part followed quickly after that, traditional therapy, I never felt empowered. My story on that. But as I said, from the age of 14 to 39, I actually remember lying on the couch after midway through our first session, had coming up our second, halfway towards our second, thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't get the 3-day therapy hangover, which I found I always got with other forms of, you go home, you need to have a sleep, all these things would happen because I was re-traumatizing myself. Empowerment from session 1 in this therapy. Next one, so it goes. I know that what we've done now is done, and I am renewed. I am whole. I have returned to myself. But I don't want it to end, because this has been a beautiful, incredible, amazing experience. I can't say that about anything in the past experiences I've had with other therapy. And that's my truth. That is my truth. I truly, truly want to shout from the rooftops, from the mountaintops, that this is what the whole world needs more of. And that is my truth, my honest, heartfelt. I wish I'd had this sooner, but I know that this is the divine timing for me.
Thank you so much for your
so
candidness. I want to as well, I hope you don't mind me sharing that intuitively, just before we went into session 1 together, you recorded a message to yourself.
Yes.
And there was so much emotion there, so much apprehension that you were fiercely matching with courage in that message. And that's not something I asked you to do. You actually instinctively did that. You actually recorded a message from yourself just before we went into session 1 together. And what was beautiful was, I think it was just after session 2 that you watched it back for the first time and were absolutely blown away and said, hey, I recognize that woman. I have so much love for her, but that's not me anymore. And what a gift that was for you to give to yourself, because you actually could physically see the transformation in just over 10 days.
Completely. I watched it, and it was just so powerful. It was like I could feel all this sort of empathy for this person, oh wow. And I wanted to almost speak intuitively, like I wanted to hug her and say, it's okay. It's going to be okay. You're really good now.
Yeah.
Because there was I want to say fear. There was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I was kind of cheerleading myself, like, you've got this. And I remember saying, you're going to go inside now. It's not long now. Yeah. And all of those really big emotions of, I'm not sure, uncertainty, wobbles, are just not something that I at all experience right now. Although, and I speak to this, I mean, I've things that are going on that I'm not entirely sure what will happen, but I feel safe in myself. I feel everything's going to be okay because I've got this, and in a really genuine, feminine way. Like I feel safe as a woman with my 4 children. It's okay. Everything is good.
That's beautiful. So just to finish off, if anybody has the opportunity to go through this TRTP process with a practitioner and they're just sitting on the fence, not quite sure, what would you say to them?
Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Trust the process. It's okay to be a little bit scared. It's okay to be, in fact, do what I did. Do that video. Because it is, like Cathy said, such a gift to later, 18 days later or 3 weeks later, look back on. But, it's okay to feel nervous, because that is where the freaking magic happens.
Yeah.
In that moment of, you've got it, you've got you. You may not feel it yet, but I tell you what, when you return to you, you've got you, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful.
thank you,
Well,
Cathy.
thank you so much. I really appreciate the generosity. We're
Welcome.
obviously wanting everybody to feel safe, to come and get
Yes.
the help that they need. And, the community is really strong, and we're here and ready to receive everybody that needs help, because this is the way forward. It's actually healing people, and it's a beautiful gift. And I really thank you for giving me your trust and faith, and for being an amazing client.
Oh, honestly, the pleasure is all mine working with you, and this gift. Forever grateful. Forever grateful. Thank you, Cathy.
Thanks, honey.